Whether you're dreaming of becoming a lead teacher, stepping into your first director role, or leading a thriving childcare program of your own, you don't have to figure it out alone. Welcome to the Childcare Director's Chair, where leadership coach, speaker, co-author, and multi-center owner Erica Sakosio shares the wisdom she's gained from decades of leading successful early childhood programs and developing future leaders. Each episode is designed to help you use your voice, lead with confidence, build a positive workplace culture, and become the kind of leader your team is excited to follow. Expect real talk, big laughs, bold leadership truth, practical strategies, and the encouragement to believe in yourself every step of the way. Because when Erica teaches leadership, she's teaching what she's lived. The Childcare Director's Chair is proudly sponsored by WatchMeGrow, supporting childcare leaders with innovative technology that helps build stronger programs and stronger family connections. Together, they believe leadership isn't a title, it's an action. Pull up your chair, future leader. Here's Erica Sakosio.
I want you to picture someone on your team. You probably already know exactly who I am talking about. She's the teacher who walks into the building and immediately notices what needs to be done. She knows every child, remembers every parent's name, and keeps her classroom organized, and somehow manages to make even the most chaotic days look easy. When another teacher calls out, she steps in, and when a new staff member has a question, well, she's the person that they go to. When you are not in the building, she's the one you trust to keep things moving. Then, one day, a supervisor position opens. You know, you look around your program and think, she's the obvious choice. She's dependable, she's committed, she knows the program, and the families, well, they adore her. And the staff already respect her. So guess what you do? You promote her. You give her a new title, you give her a new set of keys and more responsibility. And you feel relieved because finally, you have someone to help you carry all the weight of running a center. But a few weeks later, something starts to change. She's avoiding those conversations she needs to have. She's frustrated with the team, and she is taking every problem home with her. Former coworkers are pushing back against her authority instead of delegating, and she is trying to do everything herself. The same person who was confident and successful in the classroom is suddenly questioned whether she is capable of even being a leader. And you are wondering, did I make the wrong decision? I want you to hear me when I say this. You may not have promoted the wrong person. You may have promoted the right person without giving her the preparation she needs for a completely different job. Welcome back to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. It's a place where childcare directors, owners, administrators, and educators and emerging leaders come for honest conversation about what it really takes to lead in early childhood education. And today, I want to talk directly to the owner of the program who's trying to step away from the day-to-day operations. Maybe you're tired of being the only one who can answer every question. And maybe you're trying to grow another location, build another part of your business, or finally just take a vacation without spending the entire time staring at your phone. Maybe you simply want to leave the building and, at a reasonable hour, or trust that everything is not going to fall apart the moment you pull out of the parking lot. We've all been there. I understand that feeling because there comes a point when you realize you cannot keep being the person who carries every problem, every decision, every parent concern, and every staffing issue. You need help. You need people around you who can think, make decisions, communicate clearly, and lead when you're not standing in the room. But here's where many of us make a mistake. We wait until we're already exhausted, we're overwhelmed, or we're just honestly desperate for help at that point. And then we look around the building for someone to promote. We usually choose our best teachers. And on the surface, that makes perfect sense. She has proven that she can handle responsibility. She knows the children, understands routines, and already has influence with the team. But being a great teacher and being a great supervisor are not the same thing. A teacher may know exactly how to calm a 4-year-old who's having a hard morning, but she may freeze when it comes to having to tell an adult that their behavior is not acceptable. She may know how to manage classrooms beautifully, but struggle to manage the personalities, emotions, and the needs of the entire staff. And she may be excellent at helping children solve problems, but has no experience navigating conflict between two adults who refuse to work together. Now, that doesn't mean she cannot become a strong leader. It means leadership has to be developed. Let's talk about the biggest transition, and that's going to be the coworker to the supervisor. Dun, dun, dun. I want you to think about that promotion and what it feels like for her from her side. One day, she's sitting in the break room with her coworkers. They're sharing stories, they're laughing, probably venting about the day, and feeling like they're part of a group. And then the next day, she's expected to correct those same people. She has to address attendance, enforce policies, give feedback, and make decisions that not everyone is going to like. That shift is very difficult. She might be thinking, I don't want everyone to think that I've changed. And she may worry that people will accuse her of acting like she's better than everyone else. She might even be afraid of holding a coworker accountable that might cost her a friendship. So instead of having a conversation, she avoids it. She tells herself she will address it next time. And she gives another reminder. She lets the lateness slide and ignores the tone in the classroom or hopes the conflict with the two staff members is going to work itself out. But we know it doesn't usually. But you know and I know that most problems don't disappear because we ignore them. They actually grow. And by the time she's finally ready to address the issue, she is already frustrated. And the employee feels blindsided and the conversation becomes much harder than it ever needed to be. And this is why we cannot promote someone and assume they will automatically know how to hold difficult conversations. They need language, they need practice, and they need to know what being clear means. And it doesn't mean you have to be cruel. You can care about someone and still say, this is the expectation and this is what needs to change. And you can be kind and still hold people accountable. That is something we as new leaders have to learn. And that need to fix everything, oh man, that's another reason our best teachers often struggle when they become supervisors. The habits that make them excellent in the classroom can sometimes work against them in leadership. Your best teacher is probably used to being the person who fixes everything. If the room is messy, she cleans it. If another teacher is behind, she jumps in. If someone forgets to complete a task, don't worry, she handles it herself because she knows it will get done correctly. That is often why we trust her in the first place. But when she moves into leadership, she cannot continue being the person who rescues everyone. And if every time a teacher struggles, the supervisor takes over, the teacher will never learn the skill. And if every schedule problem is fixed by the supervisor without involving anyone else, the staff become even more dependent. And before long, your new supervisor is opening classrooms, covering breaks, answering phones, solving conflicts, talking to the parents, and doing half of everyone else's job. You know what else happens? She becomes exhausted. She feels like leadership is impossible because she believes being a leader means carrying more than everyone else. Leadership isn't about proving that you can do everything. Leadership is about helping other people become capable of doing what they're responsible for. And that can be difficult. That's a difficult transition for the person who has built her reputation around always being the one who saves the day. She has to learn how to pause before jumping in. And she has to learn how to ask, what have you already tried? She has to learn how to say, what do you think the next step should be? This is how she begins moving from doing everything herself to helping others grow. And the title is not always enough. There is something that owners and directors need to take responsibility for. Sometimes we give someone a leadership title, but we never really give them authority. We call her the supervisor or assistant director, but every time an employee does not like her answer, they come right to you. Then we step in, we change the decision, we solve the problem, or we give the staff member a different answer without ever talking to the supervisor first. I know as an owner, probably my first couple of years of transitioning over and letting someone else run my school while I'm still around, that was hard. And over time, the team learns that the supervisor's authority is, optional. They know they can go to her if she's around, and now she's responsible for what happens in the building, but does she even have the power to actually lead it? And that's an impossible position. So if you promote someone, you have to support their leadership. And when an employee comes to you with a concern that should be handled by the supervisor, ask, have you spoken with your supervisor about this? That one question sends a very, very powerful message. It tells the employee that the leadership structure matters. It tells your supervisor that you trust her to handle the role that you have given her. Now, don't mistake my words. It doesn't mean that you disappear. It doesn't mean you fly off on a trip to Tahiti. It does not mean any of that. It doesn't mean that you stop coaching, that you stop checking in, that you stop paying attention. It does mean you support your leaders publicly, but you coach them privately. There may be times when you could have handled the situation differently, for sure, but that doesn't automatically mean that the supervisor was wrong. Sometimes the hardest part of developing leaders is allowing them to lead in a way that doesn't look exactly like you. Your teachers see the program from a perspective of their classrooms, and this is probably one of the bigger transitions. They see the children, the schedules, the lesson plans, family communication, and everything that has happened in the room throughout the day. But as an owner or director, you see something completely differently. You think about staffing, licensing, enrollment, tuition, payroll, ratios, family concerns, employee performance, and the overall health of the business. And sometimes teachers believe that a decision is unfair because they cannot see all the information behind it. And your emerging leader needs an opportunity to understand that bigger picture. They need to see behind the curtain. They need to understand why you cannot always approve another staff member in the classroom, or why enrollment affects scheduling, or why one family concern may require a very different response than another. Now, you do not have to share all the confidential information, but you do have to let them understand how the program operates beyond the four walls of their classroom. That is a part of leadership development. The owner who is tired, let me talk to you for a minute. I understand. The owner who is listening saying, Erica, I understand all this, but I am tired. You may be opening the building, handling all the call-outs, answering the emails, solving the staff problems, all the things, right? And then going home to finish everything you couldn't complete during the day. I know that's a reality for many. You keep trying to save and save the program while at the same time stepping away. But something always pulls you back. It's the teacher that needs an answer, the parent who wants to speak with you, someone cannot figure out the schedule, or there's a licensing question that no one else feels confident answering. You're not struggling because you're bad at running a program. You're struggling because too much of the program still exists only inside your head. If you are the only person who knows how to make every decision, then the organization will always depend on your presence. And stepping away does not mean finding one perfect person to replace you. That person may not exist. It means building leadership across your organization. And maybe one person is strong at curriculum, and maybe another is excellent with family engagement. And someone else may be great at mentoring new teachers or handling the daily flow of the building. But leadership should not live in one person or one title. It should exist throughout your program. And that is how you build something that continues to function when you're not in the room. One of the biggest mistakes that we make is waiting until a position opens to start developing a leader. And I talk about this a lot. You need a leadership pipeline. Because what happens during those period of times is you're desperate and you make decisions that you probably shouldn't be making. Someone has left, the program is short-staffed, you're overwhelmed, we need somebody to step into the position immediately. And that's when we make those rush decisions. We start looking at our team that we have right now. We pay attention to the people who stay calm when the day becomes chaotic. And we notice the person who takes responsibility instead of blaming everyone around her. And we look for the employee who can receive feedback without becoming defensive and who supports other people without needing recognition. Your future leader may not be the loudest person in the building. She may not be your most experienced teacher. And sometimes the strongest leadership potential is sitting inside the quiet employee who brings stability to every room she enters. Once you notice that person, do not just tell her that she has potential. Give her something real to lead. Ask her to mentor a new employee. Let her lead part of the staff management team or even the staff meetings. Give her responsibility for a family event, a classroom transition, or a whole new program routine. That will help people stay connected. Ask her what's going well. Ask her where she feels unsure. Ask what support does she need from you. Leadership confidence grows when someone is trusted with a meaningful responsibility and knows they have your support while they learn. One of the best ways to build a future leader is to stop answering every question for them. I know it's tempting. Somehow, somebody will come to you with a problem and you already know the answer before they finish speaking. It feels faster to just tell them. But every time you immediately provide the solution, you teach them that you are the person who thinks and they are the person who waits. The next time someone brings you a problem, pause. Ask them, what do you think we should do? What have you already tried? And what would happen if we handled it that way? You're not abandoning them. You're teaching them to think and to solve problems. You're helping them to build confidence to make those decisions. And there may be times when their answers, believe it or not, are different and sometimes better than yours. And that's okay. You can talk through it. You can explain what they may not have considered, and you can help them understand how you reached your decision. And that conversation is where leadership develops. You are not only solving the problem in front of you, you are preparing someone to solve the next problem without you. So again, it's not about you. Now, before we continue, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors at WatchMeGrow. Strong childcare programs are built on trust, communication, and connection. And WatchMeGrow helps childcare owners and directors strengthen those relationships by giving families a secure window into their child's day. And when parents feel connected and informed, it creates confidence. It can also help reduce some of the communication gaps that owners, directors, and teachers spend so much time trying to repair. And it means leaders have more time to focus on supporting their teams, developing their people, and creating a strong program. So WatchMeGrow also took a bet on me and this podcast and on the work that we're doing supporting childcare leaders. And that means so much to me because they do not just believe in technology, they also believe in early childhood education and the people doing this amazing work every single day. To learn more about WatchMeGrow, head on over to their website, use my special Childcare Director's Chair podcast link, and make sure Kevin and his team know Erica sent you. So thank you, WatchMeGrow, for believing in our field and supporting the leaders who are doing the work and making our field so much stronger. Now, as we start to wrap up, I want to talk about these keys. When someone you promote and they become a supervisor, and they're still going to need you. They're going to need your clarity. They're going to need to understand what they're responsible for and what decisions they can make and what ones they need to involve you in. And they also should not have to guess whether they can adjust the schedule for a staff or address an employee's lateness or respond to a parent concern or honestly even document performance issues. Those expectations need to be discussed. They will also need regular coaching, and do not wait until something goes wrong to have a hard conversation. Sit down with them each week, even if it's only for a couple minutes, just to kind of let them know where they're excelling. Okay, and let them become their own leader as we wrap up. When you're a new supervisor, they're not going to lead the same way that you do. And that might be uncomfortable for you. Maybe not necessarily for them, but for you. You may have built a program from the ground up, and you know every detail, every family, every system. You're used to doing things a certain way because those methods have worked for you. But leadership development cannot mean turning someone into a copy of yourself. Maybe they communicate differently. Maybe they organize their day differently. There's so many things to consider. Maybe they build their relationships with their team in a different way. As long as she is protecting the children, following the policy, and supporting the staff, and the program moving across and forward to wherever it's supposed to go, and don't try to create another you. You are trying to create a capable leader who can still stand on their own 2 feet. So as we wrap up, I will say this. It's really important that we support these teachers. Your best teacher may struggle when she becomes a supervisor, but that does not mean she was the wrong choice. It may mean that she has been given a title before she was given the tools, but we cannot keep taking our strongest teachers out of the classroom, putting them into leadership roles and expecting them to automatically know how to handle adults. So if you're an owner who wants to step away from the day-to-day, you have to stop building leaders before you ever need them. You have to let people see behind the curtain. You also have to teach them how to communicate, make decisions, give feedback, and handle uncomfortable conversations. And you have to give them the room to make mistakes without rushing into everything on their own. So that's it for today, guys. I'm actually pretty tired. I don't know about you, but that's it for today. As always, keep protecting your people, keep protecting your program, and thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast.
Before you go, ask yourself, what's one leadership lesson you'll put into action this week? Then share one takeaway with your leadership team, because Erica believes that great leaders don't just grow themselves, they help others grow too. Ready to keep growing? Join Erica inside the ECE Trailblazers Leadership Membership at childcaredirectorschair.com. Proudly sponsored by WatchMeGrow. Together, we believe leadership isn't a title, it's an action. And we'll save your chair for next time.